Welcome to the Real Academy, brought to you each Saturday at 10:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time by the
Systems Doctors,
Dr. Sheikah Houston and Dr. Tammy Taylor, best-selling authors, consultants, and speakers of Create and Educate LLC. Create and Educate LLC is an educational consultant and literary firm that provides professional development to schools and community. Their goal is to transform organizations with the REALL resilient framework used to increase their school report card grades 2 and 3 grade levels in 1 year. REALL stands for Respect, Excellence, Accountability, Literacy, and Leadership. This framework is used to coach leaders and teachers and build student efficacy while putting systems in place that aligns the work of the school improvement, making the process manageable. When the work is manageable, teachers and leaders don't stress out or burn out.
the Systems Doctor.
Alignment systems are designed to help schools evolve and grow, all while instituting protocols and processes designed to promote collaboration and collegiality. The implementation of the alignment framework prevents some of the most common problems in education, where leaders sometimes aren't sure where to start, or in our new age of educating, leaders need a trusted sounding board that allows them to be vulnerable and transparent, preventing loneliness at the top. The framework doesn't just help leaders, but also prevents teachers from burning out from too many initiatives and embracing teachers as they are the experts. Finally, the framework extends to the children, helping them get engaged in school and solving a nationwide problem. Alignment systems are frequently referred to as a key element of success in the improvement process. In the sport of rowing, all rowers must put their oars in the water, succinctly creating a system for their boat to reach maximum speed. So schools that want to improve are bringing in
the Systems Doctors
to teach them all about the alignment systems that must be in place for school improvement to be accomplished at high levels. The dynamic duo provides insights into educational topics through their international platform, which includes educators, parents, and community members as a way to support important entities that make communities thrive. This is their way to pay it forward and provide the support they needed through their platform. Take a look. People who work with the
Systems Doctors
describe them as an excellent and inspiring group of leaders. They get into the weeds of work with leaders through their TrustMate Institute that you should contact them about today by filling out the contact form on their website.
Great morning, everyone. It is Super Saturday. Welcome to episode 185 of the Real Academy with your very own Systems Doctors, HERS. I am Dr. Sheikah Houston.
Good morning, and I am Dr. Tammy Taylor. Welcome, everybody.
Good morning, Tammy.
Good morning, Sheikah.
So for Women's History Month, we will be building our sisters all month long. You see our special logo over our shoulders here. This is a part of the work of Create and Educate.
Absolutely. And because we are subscribers to the philosophy that places us in concert with our Black men in the liberation struggle, there is not a better person for us to have invited on today to celebrate the first female graduate of an HBCU.
Most definitely. Dr. Chika Akua is world-renowned, internationally known, an introduction to some, but a reappearance for others. So please help us out. Do all of the things that the platforms do. Like, share, subscribe, send stars. I see all of the comments, and we appreciate you all. Help us out with these algorithms.
Yes, each Saturday we come to you as a part of our live stream network, the Fantastic Four, that we are truly humbled to be a part of. Starting at 10 o'clock, our brother Sean Hurt, Principal Hurt, is always on fire on Saturday mornings at 10. And then, as we have stated, yours truly, Create and Educate, follows at 10:30. At 10:55, the leader's mentor and the GOAT is on at the AP and New Principals Academy with Principal Kafele. And then we close that out on Sunday evenings with the PGP podcast with Dr. Moreno and Principal Josh Tovar.
Most definitely. So, this is our time to do our Real Fam shout out. Let me get to my right place. And thank you to our platform engineer, Mr. Padrick Hampton, assistant principal at Great Falls Elementary School, who's been putting our comments up for us. But thank you all for joining us. This is our Real Fam shout out. AP Patrick Lawrence, Melissa Jones Chunu out in Oklahoma, Chancellor Rashard Davis, thank you for joining us. Kenna Rowland up in New Jersey, Jennifer Desmond, the one and only Dot McKeever Jeter, we appreciate you. Taylor Williams, our Fantastic Four brother, Josh Tovar, out in Texas. The GOAT is here, Principal Kafele. We always appreciate you. September Devance Vance Daniels, Constance Sherrod from Mississippi. Good morning to you. Leslie Lyles, we appreciate you. Gian Alessandro, Dr. Joe Griffin, Jennifer Desmond, and the beautiful Stacy L. Joy. So thank you all for joining us. We appreciate each and every one of you.
Yes, we are so thankful to have you guys joining us this morning. And as our real fam, we asked this morning, not if, but when you hear something fantastic during this episode or something that Dr. Akua says resonates with you, please drop a Bill My Sister in the comments, BMS, so that we can know that you know that we are talking good this morning.
Most definitely. And I just changed those banners, Padrick. So that brings us to episode 185 of the Real Academy. We're going to be talking about how HBCUs have built our sisters. And if you follow us, you know that Building Our Sister is a program that we offer. It's a part of our work, but we're going to bring up Dr. Chika Akua. Good morning, Dr.
Good
Akua.
morning, Dr. Akua.
Greetings, everyone. Peace and blessings.
Peace and blessings. Thank you so much for joining us. And
Our Jegna, we'll elaborate later.
Thank you.
So I'm not going to read the entire bio, but we have posted it, but I'm definitely going to give you a proper introduction. Dr. Chika Akua is a former Teacher of the Year with over 30 years in education. He is one of the most sought after speakers at urban schools, colleges, universities, and educational conferences. He has the author of 13 books. He's created Reading Revolution, and he is featured in the Washington Post, Black Enterprise, Ebony Magazine. He has a bachelor's degree from Hampton University, a master's from Clark Atlanta University, and a doctoral degree from Georgia State University. Dr. Akua resides in Atlanta, Georgia, with his beautiful bride and his two sons. So, welcome, Dr. Akua. We appreciate you.
It's always great to be here with you all.
Thank you so much. And this, because in honor of Women's History Month, I'm going to put this up really quickly before we turn it over to you. We're dedicating the show to Miss Charlotte Ray. She graduated from Howard University Law School in 1872. She was the first Black woman lawyer and the first woman admitted to Washington, D.C. bar. So she's definitely a testament to how HBCUs have not only helped Black women, but people in our overall community. Mary Jane Patterson was the first African American woman to earn her bachelor's degree in 1862. And then we have Miss Sadie Tanner Moselle Alexander, who was the first African American woman to ever earn a PhD in economics back in 1921. So we know how important HBCUs are, not just to Black women, but to our collective, to the Black community overall. So, talk to us this morning, Dr. Akua, about HBCUs, why they were important then, they have been essential and important, and why they will continue to be important.
Oh my goodness. Well, certainly, if anybody's eyes are open in the cultural and political times that we're living in today, we should all want our children to be in schools where they're elevated and celebrated, not just tolerated. We
Hmm.
want our children to be in safe and sacred places, and certainly HBCUs have been doing that for over a century. And so it's so important. Another thing that's very important about that is, and I say this a lot of times because people don't oftentimes understand it. At historically white institutions, Black intelligence is oftentimes called into question. But at
Mm.
HBCUs, it's called into action. I'm going to say that
Wow.
again. At historically white institutions, which I have been to them in high school and all this, I was accused of plagiarism and all these sorts of things. The teacher didn't know that I would go on to author 13 books and be written
Mm.
up in Ebony Magazine and Black Enterprise and Washington Post, all these different things. He didn't see that for me because
Hmm.
my intelligence was being called into question. At historically white institutions, oftentimes Black intelligence is called into question, but at HBCUs, it's called into action. And let me say the same thing is true for Black scholars and professors at historically white institutions. Their intelligence is oftentimes called into question, but at HBCUs, it's called into action. For me, and happy Women's History Month. For me, the significance of this topic takes me back to my times in undergrad as a student at Hampton University, one of our great HBCUs. I was initiated into a brotherhood called Kemet Nu. Kemet Nu means Black Nation. And the final part of that initiation, we had to go in front of Emancipation Oak. Emancipation Oak is a sacred site on Hampton's campus where a free Black woman named Mary Peak educated formerly enslaved Black children. This
Mm.
is at the site of the founding of what today is Hampton University.
Hmm.
So it was a free Black woman who educated enslaved Black children at that time. Again, her name was Mary Peak. And so for Founders Day, we as the students would always honor Mary Peak. Unfortunately, others would honor the white general who was instrumental in helping to found the school. Um, but as far as we were concerned, there would be no Hampton without this Black woman, Mary Peak. I think also of Mary McLeod Bethune and the fact that she was able to build Bethune Cookman, what is now Bethune Cookman University, on what used to be a dumping ground.
Mm.
We have a tradition of doing more with less.
Yes, sir.
Hmm.
And we've been doing more with less for so long, there's almost nothing that we can't do. So we have to be mindful of these tremendous Black women who have helped to pave the way for Black men and women.
I love that you all honored Mary Peak. I had not heard that story before, and it's just a testament to the philosophy that Tammy talked about, that we subscribe to, Africana womanism, and being in concert with Black men, that we are family centered, that we do come together, that we do build one another up and recognize one another's contributions. Some information that I just found about HBCUs, that they're responsible for 85% of all Black doctors, 80% of all Black federal judges, 75% of all Black PhDs, 75% of all Black military officers, 75% of Black veterinarians, 50% of Black pharmacists, 50% of Black attorneys, 46% of all Black business executives, and 40% of all Black dentists.
Mhm.
Just so much. And like you talked about, that intelligence not coming into question, we talk a lot about the belief gap. And when you have a belief gap, and it's something that we witness a lot in public education, if you don't believe that certain people can do certain things, you'll never have the expectations for them that you'll need to be able to have. And in my opinion, you'll never be able to activate them. So that's one of my biggest regrets in life, that I did not attend an HBCU. If I could go back and do that over again, I definitely would. But I know you have more to share, definitely, about the experience and the importance of continuing to cultivate the importance for our students that are in K 12 and our children to go to HBCUs.
And thank you so much for sharing that about Hampton, Dr. Akua, because I love and Hampton is one of the great institutions. It's a beautiful campus. It's so rich in history because of what it stands for, but also because of what you described before, how tradition gets steeped in those things that sometimes go appreciated and overlooked. And what I loved about one of my best friends graduated from Hampton University. So I have been aware of some of the amazing things and the amazing people that come out of there, but I only got to appreciate the rich heritage of it because when you're young, you don't know how to appreciate that. When I went back for a very close friend's son graduated from the university, and the ceremony that they have over the course of the week leading up to graduation, where they do take time to teach you about the history of what has happened at Hampton and other HBCUs, is a very rich experience. So, and I've gone to lots of different types of graduations, and Hampton is right up there with some of the best. Sheik and I went when my nephew graduated from Harvard.
Hmm.
Wonderful experience, but I'm telling you, Hampton is right there with the being steeped in the traditions that we as a people want to honor.
Certainly, and when you look at HBCUs as a whole, there's something that HBCUs are able to accomplish that even Harvard can't, in terms of the outcomes that they're able to produce with Black men and Black women. When Dr. Shika was kind of rattling off those stats, of incredible stats of the number of doctors and lawyers and engineers and teachers and so forth, the percentage, the high percentage that HBCUs produce, it's very important to note. I think all of those stats that you said were over 50%, with the exception of the last one, which I think was 45%.
Hmm.
What's really significant about that is that HBCUs only comprise 3% of
Mhm.
all of the colleges and universities in the nation, but are producing these tremendous results. So
Yes.
we've had to punch higher than our weight class for generations. And that's what we've been able to do. In addition to that, there's something about the sense of togetherness, the sense of belonging, the sense of family that you find on HBCU campuses, and how professors nurture their students and help them through the process, and then prepare them to go on to be able to compete anywhere in the world. This is very, very important because a lot of those stats that you just shared, those students may have gone on to predominantly white graduate schools and were still performing at the top of their class.
Hmm.
And this has been happening for generations. So it's important for us to understand that. My father tells a story um, that has always been very significant to me. My father, he went to Meharry School of Medicine, which is a historically Black College in Nashville, Tennessee. And once he got his medical degree, he then went and got a master's in public health from the University of Michigan. So I said, Dad, what was that like, going from an HBCU medical school to University of Michigan, Research One University, Big Ten, all that kind of stuff? Like, what was the level of rigor? Was it more difficult at University of Michigan? He was like, man, please. And he said, what those doctors taught us at Meharry, by the time I got to University of Michigan, it was a cakewalk. He said it, and he said when he did his internship up in New York, he said if you ran it, and he was at an integrated hospital in the late 60s. He said if you ran into a problem with a procedure, you better know somebody from either Meharry Medical School or Howard. I was an integrated school. And he said, the people were nice. It's not that other people wouldn't help you. It's that they couldn't help you.
Wow.
Better know somebody from Meharry or from Howard. Now watch this. A few years ago, my son had to get his wisdom teeth pulled. Okay. So my wife is online. We're looking for a dentist who can do that. She finds a guy who graduated from Meharry. So I'm like, that's our guy. We're going to take him, right? So after my son gets his wisdom teeth pulled, I said, I got to meet this brother. I said, hey, my dad graduated from Meharry School of Medicine as a dentist, class in 1967. Then I told him the exact same story that I told you. He said, that's interesting. He said, because when I did my internship, it was at Yale University. And I found it to be the exact same way. He said, as a matter of fact, I ended up having to train many of the other interns and residents.
Wow.
The people didn't have the expertise. So people have no idea that Black brilliance, there's a gold mine of Black brilliance on the campuses of HBCUs. And we want our children to be in these types of nurturing environments that will bring out the brilliance in our children, where they don't have to be looking over their shoulder, wondering if they're going to be attacked by university police, wondering if they're being seen as less than by professors and different things like that. So I can't say enough about the need for HBCUs and our need to support them in any way that we can.
I love that, Dr. Akua. And Tammy, of course, you were on her committee for her dissertation. I feel like we got the dissertation together because I was reading it. And so just the level.
And special thanks. This is where we pause to say thank you to you, sir, who knew where I was with not knowing and finding that thing that was working for me, and knowing what I needed, sent me what I needed. So thank you so much for.
Yeah. And that was my point. The access, the knowledge, to be able to access your knowledge was not what we had access to at our universities, and that mattered, because her theoretical construct, we would not know anything about it had you not geared her in that direction. Bill, my sister, would not even exist. So, it's so important to have access to, like you said, to the brilliant minds of Black people. And we have to, whatever we need to do right now, is, you said it's 3% of colleges. What are some things that we could do to support more of HBCUs so they can get to the level to extend their campuses and their programs to be able to take in more African American students?
Sure. The first thing I think is exposure for our children. So I know there are a lot of P12 educators on this call right now. And so the first thing is exposure. When I was a middle school language arts teacher, every year my students had to do an HBCU project. They had to research the HBCU of their choice. I would give them a list of all of the HBCUs, and they would choose one. Now, interesting thing happened every year. Check this out. every year, especially my boys, would say, well, can I do University of North Carolina or Florida State or, one of the PWIs?
Mhm.
And I would say, sure, after you do an HBCU.
Mhm.
And they would be upset. They didn't understand why. And I knew why they were choosing these types of schools. I want to do Ohio State. I want to do Michigan, because these are the athletic powerhouses, right?
Mhm.
And every year a mother would call me and say, my son said that you told him he couldn't research this school. I said, no, ma'am. I said, I never said he couldn't research that school. I said he could do that after he does an HBCU.
Love it. You're just so
Only
right.
HBCUs have the track record of producing Black men and Black women of excellence. The
Mhm.
University of Michigan doesn't have that track record. Ohio State University doesn't have that. All these places where we see our children playing basketball and football, and I'm sure some people have had good experiences there, but only HBCUs
Mhm.
have the track record of producing Black excellence, because that is their singular focus.
Okay, that's right.
Mm.
So I would have to teach the parents at the same time that I'm teaching the children. So
Mhm.
you do whatever university that you want to, but you're going to do HBCU first.
I
Love it.
That's,
love that.
that's one of the first ways, is to make our children aware, so that at least by the time they get to their sophomore, junior, and senior year, they are at least considering an HBCU. I'm not saying everybody has to go to one, but you owe it to yourself to at least consider it. But we can't consider it if we haven't taught our children about the legacy. So
That's
that's
right.
one
Right.
of the things that's so important.
And I think it's equally important for educators to know, because I've heard people who don't look like us tell children, oh, HBCUs, I don't think that's for you. And that's
Mhm.
because they have no understanding
Right.
of what an HBCU is or what it offers, but they feel compelled to give people advice about their life decisions.
It makes a
Mm.
difference seeing Black professors and models of intellectual authority, Black men and women with doctorates in biology and chemistry and English and education and all of the different disciplines that we study. It makes a difference being surrounded by Black excellence. And I tell people, an HBCU saved my life.
Mhm.
Going into my senior year of high school, people don't know this about me now, but I had a 1.9 GPA. I was a struggling student. I barely made it into college, but I got into Hampton University on probation, and they told me if you will go into the summer bridge program and maintain at least a 2.0 GPA, we will accept you as a full-time student. Well, I was so thankful to get there. I really buckled down and did well, and I got a 4.0 in pre-college and never looked back. But the point that I'm making is, I tell people an HBCU literally saved my life, because if I had had to stay in my hometown, if I had not had the opportunity to go there, be surrounded by Black excellence, it's like being in a wave, an ocean current that sweeps you towards excellence.
Mhm.
It's almost like you don't have a choice but to be outstanding if you're going to be here. It's like, just like being on this show, for those that are listening, you don't have a choice but to be properly informed if you're going to tune into this, because that's what it's all about, right? So I can't say enough about the need for these institutions. In addition, it is a home for so many of our Black scholars who otherwise would not necessarily be gainfully employed at predominantly white institutions. Uh,
Mm.
and the research coming out of HBCUs is absolutely critical to our elevation as a people as well.
Well,
It's
Dr.
astounding.
Akua, it is. Thank you so much for coming to share your brilliance and your knowledge with us. We so appreciate you always. You have been a big factor in influencing us, and the reason why my colonized lashes fell off and I became knowing of what I did not know. So we are always appreciative of you. Thank you for
Yeah,
coming
we are
to share.
indebted to you and Principal Kafele forever.
I,
Like,
Yes.
I want to
you
thank you all for
changed
having me on. And for those that are interested in some of the things that I've shared, you can go to readingrevolution.org and click on books by Dr. Akua. This is the book that I was sharing a lot of information from, Honoring Our Ancestral Obligations. So again, you can find that at readingrevolution.org and click on books by Dr. Akua.
And I just put it in the comments for all platforms. If you all would join Principal Kafele, he has started. And then also tune in to PGP Podcast on Sunday with Josh and Dr. Moreno. We appreciate you all joining us. Stay on, Dr. Akua. We're going to go ahead and end the show out. You all have a great rest of your Saturday.